3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rated G podcast. Rated G is a Catholic consulting agency here to help ministries in all capacities. Let's help accompany each other. Oof, I'm a little nervous recording today. So this is a difficult topic for me, but I do think it's important. We are still focusing these wave of episodes on you, the minister. But I do acknowledge that there is a serious stress when it comes to ministry. So today I want to try to share with you all about the importance of mental health. Ministry requires that you work with the entire person, mind, body, and soul. All three are essential, but I often find that the mind is easily neglected until it becomes a real problem. So I just want to be transparent here. I'm not interested in any sympathy or anything like that. I hate talking about topics that I don't know about or that I haven't had any experience with. With this one in particular, I've had a lot of direct experience with, so I just want to share that and leave it as that. I've struggled with anxiety all my life. Oh gosh. I overthink, I overanalyze, and my brain sometimes thinks faster than I would like, and it's draining. I am an introverted extrovert, so I love being around people up until a certain point. So I have my limits when I'm around a large group, and after a while, I just need a break. Good luck trying to find some quiet time during a retreat. I used to run a retreat that would last for almost 7 days. So 7 days of waking up at 6 in the morning. And if I'm lucky, I would get to bed at 2 a.m. that next morning. And, if the team was lucky too, maybe they would get some sleep that night. I had a lot of responsibilities. I oversaw everything, working with the team, navigating the challenges of a retreat, working with different and difficult personalities at time, payments, registration, planning the activities, coordinating travel, training the team, forming the team, inviting the team, inviting participants, inviting the retreatants, etc., etc., etc. But I felt such an ownership over the retreat and the team that I was working with that I went into another mental state when I was on the program. It felt like I compartmentalized and created another persona. So I gave him a name, and I would call him Program G. So Program G was very focused on the mission. He was there to get the job done and to protect the integrity of the retreat. That was the line that I would use, and even saying it right now, I feel, I feel like I put myself in such a bad position by already doing that. He was there to get the job done. He needed to know all the right informations. He had all the right answers, or at least he thought he did, because if not, then he failed. He protected his team at all costs, and their needs always came first. The relationships Program G would form with the adult leaders, with the team, with everyone it was just a part of the mission. The deep planning and studying were to perfect the retreat so perfectly that everything can run smoothly, that no one would ever need him. And I'm not sure when this part happened, but it felt like Program G just took over my life. I felt like Program G took so much of my life that I didn't know where G actually began and ended. It just felt like it was all Program G. Ministry becomes such a part of your life that you can identify as your ministry. When you're working with the young, it's hard not to become involved. The stories you hear and the lives that you become a part of. Your heart explodes with love when they succeed, and they break when they're suffering. So I want to share 2 stories. The first is I used to run a session about moralities, and I would speak to the young men. And it was a session where the girls and the guys would split up, and we thought it was funny because we're like, haha, they'll never see what's coming, and they're always like, ooh, guy-girl talk, ooh. And I remember in this one particular session, I had this young man he kept challenging me nonstop, and he would just get angry and just angrier and angrier that men would disrespect women, and he's like, I don't understand how that could happen. I just want to know that wasn't all the topic that we spoke about, but sometimes that struggle came where some felt that men could be, too misogynistic and disrespectful towards women. So we would process that conversation together, and he just could not let that go. He could not process it, and he could not share, and he could not find the language that he was trying to express, and I could not help him either. So after the session, I did what I was taught is if you see someone struggling, pull them aside privately and try to, get to the bottom of it, like what's going on. So I pulled him aside and I just asked him what's up, how his day was going, how his retreat experience was going. And he was having a miserable time. And he just his rage just came out. He shared that both him and his mother were experiencing homelessness. And the concept of anyone mistreating a woman, in particular his mother, that he would fight and defend her. And he was angry and crying, and that was really a moment where I did a lot of listening versus trying to figure out what the right thing to say was. But I didn't know the effects that it took on my life, and it took months for me to process. I didn't talk to anyone about that because Program G stored it so deep in the back of his mind. And none of that came up until someone asked me if I wanted to participate in a midnight run for a homeless shelter. And I had a flat out anxiety, an anxious moment, an anxious episode, just thinking about this young man and how his mother and how his mother was suffering. All right. Now the second story is this. Oh gosh, I'm so nervous. I had a program where I just had an anxious episode the entire retreat. And I've never really talked about it, but, since I have a podcast for the whole world to listen to, that seems the most appropriate. There was an incident that happened to me before the retreat, and I'm not going to go into the details of that, but unfortunately I couldn't shake it off, and Program G was not strong enough to keep it together. Program G also had these boundaries that you just could not cross. So if you were to ask him, hey, are you okay? Hey, do you need anything? Hey, how's your day going? Everything was as neutral as possible. Good, great, good, doing well. I don't know how else to explain it other than I just could not handle much more. But I felt like I couldn't share that I was suffering and that I was struggling. I was Program G. I was the leader. I was the guy. But I'm also human, and I forgot that part. I forgot that I needed relationships to help me process my day, to support me when I'm doing well and when I'm not doing so hot. I never thought it was a program, or rather, I never thought it was a problem because my evaluations all came back so positive. And I just thought that if you worked in ministry, this was the normal stress that you would have in this workplace, And when I would often ask, people would say, well, there's a level of anxiety that comes with this position. So I thought that was normal. I decided it was time that I needed to get some help when I took a week off after the program ended and my anxiety was worse. I remember coming back to work after my vacation, and I parked the car in a parking lot, and I knew there was going to be so much work and unpacking and evaluations and talking about the retreat and planning for the next thing that I think I cried in the car for 20 minutes. I just could not. And it was one of those hyperventilating cries, where I just couldn't catch my breath. And it was another, it was a panic attack, and I felt like I was drowning and I couldn't understand why. Yeah. So to make a long story short, I found a Catholic therapist and we began to work together. It took a long time, took a number of years, and there was a lot of hurt that I had to share, and there was a lot of tears. But I finally felt like I was in a good place to find a balance between Program G and G. I think the conversation of mental health, it's okay not to be okay. And I was pretending for so long that I was okay, and I was not. And I was so focused on the integrity of the programs that I didn't attend to my own needs. What sometimes hurts me when I think about this is how much I missed because Program G didn't allow it. The amount of times that I missed a team member struggling or a team member doing something really well, or when our programs or our kids are having fun, and I was just so focused on what was next. I was so focused on that schedule, and we have to be early, and I have to do a great job. Everyone's watching. And I just didn't focus on myself at all. My anxiety was untamed because I was too exhausted to find time to work on it. Trying to perfect the program was just more important to me, and I think that's where I started failing my mental health. If you take anything away from this episode, it shouldn't be that you should feel bad for me, because I really do not want that. But it should be that your mental health is worth more than putting on a program. If you are not well, your program will not go well. Impressing your boss or showing how tough you are by getting things done or, getting the best evaluations, yada, yada, that should not come above your own health. I wish I trusted my team more. I wish I had more chances to just be and enjoy the young team, the young people, my colleagues, my friends, and just enjoy the fruits of my labor. Being young in ministry, I just wanted to get things done, and it really did take a toll on my mental health. I'm happy to share that I still go to therapy. Love it. Love my doc. My mental health is really strong, and I'm working every day to find a good balance. It was nice to meet Program G, but I'm really hopeful that I never have to meet him again because, to be quite honest, I think he sucks. This is in my script. This is I conclude it, but I do want to add one more thing off the script. I never understood how frail humanity could be until I actually struggled with my mental health. But then, as I was suffering with mine, you become really in tune with, wow, there are a lot of other people struggling with the same thing. And it was nice to have a community that would be with you and understand. But it also would be very difficult when somebody would not understand. When you would get to brush it off or just take meds or, whatever the case may be. Some people, when you bring up the issue of mental health in ministry, say, hey, listen, you need to pray more. You need to trust God more. I don't think my mental health had anything to do with my relationship with the Lord, because I believe that my faith is strong. And I think no matter how many rosaries or how many Divine Mercy chaplets that I would have prayed, I think I still would have had my struggles with anxiety. When you know someone in your life that's struggling with mental health, just sit with them, listen to them. If they're going to cry, let them cry. Just be with them. Don't try to fix them. I think sometimes you can end up doing more damage, inadvertently, without knowing. I know that people want to try to help and want to have good intentions, but sometimes people who struggle with mental health who don't know what they need, and it's really difficult to try to fix something, and you're not fixing a person, you're not fixing mental health. You just need to be there for them. This is the most rated G that I think that I've ever been on this podcast. I know it's been pretty early on, but I do think it's important for me to share a little bit of me with you to understand how I work. So let's keep it rated G. Let's continue to pray for each other. If you know someone struggling with their mental health, just say a prayer for them. Do something nice for them. But don't forget to take care of yourself too. May God bless you all. Peace.